Hello, fellow Nigerians. Today, I, Frederick Odorige, Global Coordinator of the European Coalition for Security and Democracy in Nigeria, stand to address the executive body of the Indefatigable National Association of Nigerian Students. I am standing here to tell you that Nigeria has been waiting for you to act and to speak up. I am standing to tell you that Nigeria is beckoning at you to stand up and work vigorously towards a new era Nigeria come 2019. Nigeria call, obey. In my last video, I listed 9 key factors which Nigerian youths must do if we must produce a youth as the next Nigeria president. Today, I'm standing here to tell the National Association of Nigerian students 5 things that they must do in order to write their names in gold in the history of Nigeria. It is a rare opportunity because you are the conscience of this country. You use the social media, you have the numbers, you have the energy, you have the intellect. It is an error to allow failed politicians to determine your future. This is the time for you to fight for what your parents could not fight for, so that your children don't end up asking you questions. Most of you do not know the power that you carry. The old brigade politicians will never give you an opportunity to lead this country if you do not take decisive and united actions now. If somebody tells you that it belongs to APC or it belongs to PDP, what is the difference? That APC is collecting 45 million naira for presidential nomination form is enough to tell you that they have no space for you now or in the future. The leadership of this country cannot change unless the followership change drastically. Your education is your instrument to your liberation. You must have confidence in the victory that is ahead come 2019. You must not continue to remain silent when those that rule Nigeria today have been ruling Nigeria before and since you were born. They are doing the same old thing, the same old way. We must not continue to put new wine in old wineskin. We have experienced student activism in those good old days, especially during the dictatorial regime of the infamous Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida. In May 1989, we organized as a great student of the Great University of Benin, we organized the anti-SAP demonstration, and we just said, Babangida must go. In case you don't know, in 1979, it was the Nigerian students that also organized the Ali Must Go. When we organized the 1989 Babangida Must Go demonstration, it spread like wildfire throughout Nigeria, even when there was no mobile phones. Because Nigerians were angry and hungry just the way we are now. Great Nigerian students, will you watch and continue to endure the continuing misrule and the spiriting away of our Commonwealth? Will you stand up to say enough is enough, or will you forever remain silent? Mothers are selling ice fish and kerosene to send some of you to school. Some of you managed to survive in school. After youth service, must mama continue to pay for your bills? Or you will allow a politician to buy you motorcycle or keke napep in the name of empowerment program, which is their way of introducing you or initiating you into the demeaning labor market? Will you graduate from school and be counted among the 87 million Nigerians living in extreme poverty? Others that graduated years before you are there in the labor market, waiting for jobs that are not there. Nigeria is not producing, but everybody wants to get work from the government. The politicians will make you so hungry that you will collect 2 cups of Ijebu Gari just to sell your votes. Nigeria is the 6th oil producer in the world, but some of you eat once in a day at school. Some of your parents are pensioners whose monthly pensions are hardly paid. Some will borrow money, and anytime you want to go to school, it is always a problem. because they need to get some loans for you to return to school. Some of you resume school later than your classmates because your parents could not afford it. If you refuse to act now, your children will suffer the same fate because our parents endured all the rubbish we are experiencing in Nigeria today. If Nigerian students cannot get it right in 2019, then Nigeria will be completely finished. Remember that the current government is borrowing so much that they are expecting your generation to pay long after they have left office. They are gathering debt for you. Imagine how the Nigerian Labour Congress has kept quiet to the monumental and shocking earnings of Nigerian senators, while Nigerian workers continue to work without salaries in many states. Monkey they walk, bamboo they chop. I am standing here to tell you that we are entering a glorious year in the history of our great country come 2019. Yes, we must. The ball is in our court. Where we are today is because we are silent for too long. We refuse to take the issues of our elections seriously. That is why today our country is being governed by illiterates, semi-illiterates, ritualists, certificate forgers, dropouts, drug addicts, and drug pushers. We are governed by those who cannot work, but they encourage us to work. That is where we have found ourselves as a people. We refuse to continue like that. The decision is yours to make today, and the time is now. We are governed by those that created the system that in 2018, you understand very well, September 2018, Daniel Bassi, residing in Calabar, used his 2-year-old son to borrow money so that he could pay his house rent of 21,000 naira. We are governed by politicians who created a situation where Benedict Azubike and Joy Odeyemi were struck in 2013 by the stray bullets of drunken police officers, and they died because the hospitals refused to treat them because there was no money to deposit. Remember Fumi Odushina, a postgraduate student of University of Lagos, who was rescued from drowning, but she was rejected at the private hospitals because she had no money to deposit, and she died. August 23, 2018, Joseph Ode of the Federal University of Agriculture, Makurdi, he died because his treatment was delayed after a motor accident. He had no money to deposit. He was one of you. He was one of us. Do you remember Okoro Oluchi of the Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu University, who died in Amaka, who died at Amaku Teaching Hospital, Okab, Anambra State, because the hospital allegedly demanded for cash before treating her? The list is on and on. Yet, when Nigerian politicians sneeze or when they have headache, they travel abroad for treatment. Nigerian senators earn 3 billion naira every year as salaries. Multiply 3 billion with the 109 senators, and it amounts to 327 billion naira. Multiply that amount by their 4 years in office, and it amounts to 1,308 billion naira. That is 4,360 million USD. Divide that amount by the 36 states of Nigeria, and each state will get 36,333,333,000 naira. And when you divide that amount by the 36 states and you get that amount, it means that it can build for us 18 hospitals. If we estimate that one hospital will cost us 2 billion naira to build. Yet our leaders steal our money, go to foreign countries to pay for their hospital bills. But here we are dying because we have no money to deposit at our hospitals. We must take our destinies in our hands today. The oppressors will never release us until we as a people come together to seize what rightly belongs to us. Between 2010 and 2017, ASU has gone on strike 4 times, and that covers a period of 16 months. This is different from the other strikes by other tertiary institutions in various states of the country. It is also different from the strikes by other academic and non-academic staff. These are the result of negligence by government. You can imagine the psychological and the emotional impact that this can bring to students. Some students miss their call-up letters to NYC because of such strikes, and they end up going for youth service late. Meanwhile, the authority corner every available scholarship position. Those in position of authority, they corner every available position to give you scholarships. They take it and give it to their families. Many of them send their children to foreign schools where they pay exorbitant school fees. Why and where they get the money? It's from your government. It's your money, your commonwealth. It's part of why you are suffering today. Go to Ghana and see Nigerian students everywhere. The largest number of African students in every European country in the world, in this very world we are, apart from European countries, they are all Nigerians. Go to the US, go to Canada, ask for the highest number of African students. They are all Nigerians. Some countries would think we have much more money than they spend so much money on the educational system, and their system is better. They allocate enough budget for education. Countries like Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Kenya, Burkina Faso, and others. In January 2017, we saw how Governor Abiola Ajimobi of Oyo State arrogantly talked down on the students of the Ladoke Akintola University of Technology of Ogbomoso, where they protested the closure of their university for 8 months. The governor told them that it was not a big deal that their university was closed for 8 months. He told them that they have no right to protest closure of their university against a constituted authority. He even went further to boast to them that he was paying workers in the state several months of salaries. Is this the nonsense you allow to continue when their children school abroad? Great Nigerian students, the question is over to you. Such a governor will now appoint a successor, and the good people of Oyo State will allow that rubbish to stand? We give kudos to the great student of Lautech who did not chicken out at the arrogance of the governor of Oyo State. We appreciate your resilience. We watched everything on video. Such a governor will leave office and will be appointed as a minister, or he may just go and contest for the Senate to make laws for Nigerians. The time has come to say a resounding no. We must say no. Estimates have shown that Nigerian tertiary education institutions produce up to 500,000 graduates every year. More than half of that number fall into the employment market. The youth unemployment rate in Nigeria increased to 33.10% in the third quarter of 2017 from 29.50% in the second quarter of 2017. And it keeps increasing. There is no better time to address this issue than during these 2019 general elections. We need leaders who are part of the society, leaders that can feel the pulse of the people, leaders that will refuse to eat because a child has gone to bed hungry, leaders who will not sleep peacefully because hundreds of thousands have become helpless in our country. In the words of Fletcher, student activism is work by students to cause political, environmental, economic, and social change. This is why in the 60s, German Nationalist Students' Union fought for the democratization of society and vehemently opposed the Vietnamese War. That is why Hong Kong Students Activist Group, known as Scholarism, occupied the Hong Kong government headquarters on 30th August 2012 to protest against government introduction of morale and education as a compulsory subject in their schools. Students Students that have the ability to change government policies. And that is what you must begin to know. Some of you don't know what you carry. The students from Hong Kong, they turned the protest into a musical concert attended by 40,000 persons. And the government was forced to retract. In this platform, we are 100% against violence, against hate, ethnic and religious prejudice. This is revolution without ammunition. Students of Indonesia carried out the most important act of student resistance in the history of this world. During the political turmoil of the 1960s, they staged demonstrations calling for the then president, Kusno Sukarno, to eliminate alleged communists from his regime. And the students later forced him to step down in 1967 because they felt that he had stayed too long in office. He was there between 1945 and 1967. Today in Nigeria, people who were military governors in the 80s are sitting senators and civilian governors. President Muhammadu Buhari was already chairman of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation in 1977 when today's president of France, Emmanuel Macron, was born. Today, Ike Ekweremandu wants to contest for a 5th term in the Senate so that by the year 2023, he would have spent 20 years in the Senate. Same thing with David Mark of Benue State, who wants to contest for the position of president. Later, he will fall back to say, okay, we'll go back to the Senate. There is James Manager representing yes, James Manager is representing Delta South. Delta South, yes. James Manager. He wants to go back there so that he will be 20 years in the Senate. The failed ex-governor of Delta State, Emmanuel Odorige, who was insidiously imposed by his cousin James Ibori, is now campaigning to be a senator in 2019 after being a wasteful governor for 8 years, commissioner, secretary to the state government, and so on. Does it mean that there are no other persons, intelligent persons in Warri South? Warri South, yes. Now you can see why students become unemployed after graduation. Because the same old people are still in the system. And this happens only when you give way to visionless persons to represent you. Great Nigerian students, the time has come for you to stand up. It is not enough that you are driving a car in school with the plate number SUG1. After that, what next? What have you contributed to the society that posterity will judge you for? What? You have to make up your mind now. Nigeria is waiting for you. In 2009, students from Iran protested the disputed presidential election under the platform of Iranian Green Movement. You cannot have change if all you do is to accept results of elections that were rigged. Students must be used must not be used as politicians by any political party. They must not be used by politicians. Don't take their money. Don't act as their thugs. You must forbid that. We're talking about your future here, not temporary piecemeals and crumbs that has fallen from their tables. In Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, 14th April 2012, student activists demonstrated at their Independence Square where they protested against the government loan because the interest for the loans became too high for the students. They protested. Today, our Eagle Square in Abuja, which is an equivalent of the Malaysian Independence Square, is mostly used for the lies and deception of political desperados. Our Eagle Square is just for politicians now. Today in Nigerian, tuition fees, especially from the state universities, are arbitrarily increased because the past governor looted the state and the present governor needs money to balance the equation. They now pass the financial burden to your parents and they increase taxes in every way. That is why you see a restaurant owner or a kiosk owner paying different types of taxes from the local to the federal level, struggling to survive. Yet our students are busy dancing as Zoto and struggling to become the supreme persons in school in the name of ruggedity. True ruggedity is when you fight for your rights, when you protect a fellow human being and you graduate excellently, because that is your primary aim of going to school. It is not when you take cutlasses and guns to kill yourselves like barbarians, while politicians continue to enslave you in your country. In the Philippines, the League of Filipino Students, they use activism to fight for free education, corruption within the government, and extrajudicial killing. Today in Nigeria, politicians earn more than the presidents and politicians of developed countries. Yet we borrow from them, and our people have become silent and poor. Every day brings in new poor people in Nigeria. Yet our students allow themselves to be used as cultists and thugs as they trade away their destinies. You went to school, but you cannot allow certificate forgers to rule you and you prostrate before them. Never. You cannot allow that. How can you be an educated person and you are prostrating before a leader who is not educated, who does not have the managerial acumen to take you higher? And some of you just lie down when you see them crying, "Honorable, honorable, I remain loyal," just because you want a bottle of beer or 1,000 naira. The largest student strike ever recorded in the history of America took place in May and June 1970 in response to the killing of unarmed students of Kent University. In February 2018, after the Stoneman Douglas High School shooting in the US, many students began to organize rallies and protests against gun violence. Today, herdsmen kill women and children in their farms, while Nigerians respond by behaving as if fear is part of their middle names. In our own country, the murderers continue the killing because there is no counter reactions. Now, when 10 persons are slaughtered in Nigeria, it does not make news anymore. It has to be 40, 50, 60 and above, so that there will be mass burials. That is when the news is published. Apart from the presidency, who said that a governor or a local government chairman cannot defend their states and areas. So why are they called the chief security officers of their state? And they receive huge monthly security votes. And students are keeping quiet. Why has South Africa be referred to as the protest capital of the world? It is because they use protest to express themselves against the anti-people policies of government and other social vices. When they could not accommodate the corruption that went on during the regime of Jacob Zuma, they protested and voted him out of office. The same Jacob Zuma that Rochas Okorocha named a street after and built a statue for in Imo State. Therefore, what is corruption in South Africa is erasing in Nigeria, because Nigerian people worship corruption. You will graduate now and go for youth service, but at the end of the day, somebody with a forged NYC youth certificate will become a minister, dictating to you. Buhari's advisor on investigation, Okoye Oblo, he forged his wife's certificate. Now he's a big boy in Buhari's office. The director of WAEC confirmed it, but it's there. And students are keeping quiet. Babache Lawa, former secretary to the federal government, stole money appropriated for internally displaced Nigerians by awarding contracts to himself. Today, that same Lawa Babache is one of the campaign directors for Buhari in Adamawa State. That is the kind of government that we have. Dear Nigerian students, please understand that on this platform, let me repeat that, we preach revolution without ammunition. I'm not urging you, I'm encouraging you to know who you are. We've been silent for too long. Now, 5 ways that the National Association of Nigerian Students can support in reclaiming Nigeria in 2019. In the heart of the 5 points is what I call MMS, meet, mobilize, and supervise. That is, NANS should embark on a project tagged MMS, meet, mobilize, and supervise. How can this work? 1, the executive body of NANS and all executive members of respective student union governments in all tertiary institutions must meet to effectively and efficiently plan for the 2019 elections. As I'm talking now, politicians are listening and they are planning on how to bribe you. Take their money, but do the needful. Nigeria comes first. So first and foremost, all of you must have a meeting about 2019. Point number 2, meet, mobilize and supervise other trade unions and associations like the National Union of Road Transport Workers, Trade Union Council of Nigeria, and all other NGOs and trade unions. Mobilize them because everybody's hungry. Everybody's angry. We want solutions. Nigerians are waiting for action, and the time is now. Point number 3, mount public speakers on some of your vehicles to encourage and mobilize people to come out to vote. INEC is not doing enough for voters' education. National Orientation Agency under the Ministry of Information, they are not doing enough to mobilize people. Point number 4, dispatch all your students to all polling stations on election days, from local to federal elections, to supervise the elections through proper monitoring. This is the key. This is the key. You have the capacity. We have 40 federal universities, 44 state universities, 68 private universities, 80 polytechnics, and 82 colleges of education in Nigeria. The students should wear big badges to show that they are students, to show that they are observers. On the days of the election, they must combine the job of the police, INEC, and party agents by closely monitoring the elections and making videos of all the results in their police stations. 30,000 police officers were deployed to the Kitikiti election, governorship election of Ekiti State. INEC officials were there. Party agents were there. Yet, APC and PDP were buying votes. But police officers were there. So students should go and monitor. And it will be in your presence that they will count the result. And you video all the results. And when you do such video, make sure you video even the officials, the faces of the officials that are conducting the elections. And you must video the area so that we can know that location. It was very shameful the other day to see a member of the National Youth Service Corps who was organizing one of the elections accepting bribe. Plainly, it was there. 4,000. Disgusting. Point number 5. Seize money from anybody you see trying to buy votes. That money should go to the purse of SUG. It is part of the money they stole from you. If you could effectively do this, you would have the foundation of the dream of a better Nigeria in 2019. Remember that we are also fighting to abolish the Senate, the Nigerian Senate. You must begin to share the message. 2019, we have the House of Reps. We don't need the senators. Because they are one of the greatest problems we have. And the best way for us to abolish the Senate is to make sure we begin to educate our people. That when they are voting, collect your ballot papers, then you begin to thumbprint in many places in order to invalidate the votes. Which vote will they count when there are no results? We don't need them. We must begin to educate our people. Fellow Nigerians, some of you have commented on my videos that I should come home to mobilize Nigerians. You like what we are doing? Fine, thank you. We shall be home before the elections. But I have a question for you. What have you done to join Charlie Boy and Obi Ezekwesili in the different demonstrations that they have organized? Some of you just stand on verandas making videos, watching them. These people, they are not hungry people. They are fighting for you. You cannot stand aloof. You want us to come home to fight for you when you are supposed to stand up and fight for yourselves? We are going to take back Nigeria. We are going to reclaim our country back to the rightful owners. It's our country. We are reclaiming our country. And we cannot do it just with foreigners helping us. We are going to fight for the reclaim of Nigeria, outside Nigeria and inside Nigeria. And if you are living in Belgium, the good news is that on the 1st of October, after Buhari has read his 58th independence speech, we shall be at the headquarters of the European Union in Brussels. Actually, we wanted to do our demonstrations in New York, in Geneva, and in Brussels on the same day. But some members of the coalition have suggested that we should spread the dates. So come 1st October 2018, 10 p.m., come to the European Union headquarters and we shall be there live. We are addressing the President of the European Council about the ills going on in our country. And we are going to present him a letter also. So if you are in Belgium or in any of the neighboring countries, please come around. We are there. We are going to say no to everything that has been going wrong with our country. We cannot continue like this. Nigerian students, Nigeria is waiting for you. But remember that on the first day of November, that is the day that we shall pick our president. That is the day that we are going to choose one person that we are going to support in the 2019 election. And what you just need to do is to click on the subscribe button under the video that you are watching now. By the time you click on that button, it means you are subscribed. And on the 1st of November, we are going to do a live election where people will be voting for their presidential aspirant. We are going to list the names of all presidential aspirants, including Buhari. Then you are going to vote. On that day, we'll pick one person. We had to wait till the 1st of November because we know that the primaries will be holding in October. So by 1st of November, we would have known the real contestants out of the many contenders. So please, we have to work now. The time has come. We cannot change that date, 1st of November. Click on the subscribe button and you can vote. But for those in Belgium, see you on the first day of October. If you are in Belgium and you need to get some of our t-shirts for the protest march, please, you have to contact with Ikpowonsa Idaosa. Is our coordinator based in Antwerp. My prayer for 2019, may God not pass us by. Amen. Thank you.
Look. This is the height of injustice in Port Harcourt. Just imagine. See my car. See what police did to my car. Nothing I did though. The police shot this car 4 good times. Don't look at my car. Look at this car. No accident, no scratch. No scratch. He shot my gun. He shot my tire 4 good times. 4 good times. Look at the plate. Look at the car. No accident, no scratch. Nothing. Look at it. No scratch, nothing. Look at my car. Look at my car. The height of injustice in this country. Look at him. Look at the man that shot my tire. Look at him. He's the one. Wait. He shot my tire. He shot my tire 4 good times. Just today. Now. What's the meaning of this? The height of injustice. Look at it. Look at him. Look at it. No, what's the meaning of this? The the heart of injustice. Nothing like one.
You are taking too far. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. You are taking too far.
Number.
When you do that, we go to and go out. Don't touch it. Don't touch it.
What is this? What is this? I didn't do anything. Yes, I was passing. Before I knew it, this guy, the healers, came behind me, jammed my car. Jammed my car because that police shot my tire, gone four good times. For what now? For what? For what? Look at it. Yeah, no, Nigerian junction. What do you mean of this now? You will explain to me today. What is this? He shoot my tire. He shoot my tire 4 times. How? You see me with gun? You see me with gun? You see me with gun? What is this? What is this? You did you see me with gun? You did anything? Wala. After when anything happened to your motor? After when anything happened to your motor? What happened to your car? What happened to your car? What happened to your car? Did this man rob you? What is this?
You're wrong. Why you go shoot that?
Did they shoot my tire 4 times?
You're wrong.
You shot my tire. You're not enough. Okay.
I say my fellow Nigerians, so let's come together as one to help our fatherland. Oh, cause we the giant of Africa, Connie. Make us stop the killing. Stop the shooting, Our brothers are dying. Our sisters are crying, See my mind don't just sweet me anytime I hear say for blast the apple for Sokoto. See my mind don't the sweet anytime I hear say something the apple for Benue. So I rebel. Jaja rise and protect our land. So I rebel. Jaja rise and save Africa.
Revolution without ammunition. Stop the shooting, stop the killing. Love is lovely and war is ugly. This message is powered by Prince Ewemade, Coordinator, European Coalition for Security and Democracy in Nigeria, ECSDN, Sweden Chapter.